Oh, hello, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited today. Welcome to Hello, Elder Jacqueline. Thanks for getting on. Thanks for getting on, Veronica. Hi, guys. Thanks for getting on. For those that are coming on, we are so excited about this topic today. This is America's Big Sister Television. That's what I called it last time. I was like, listen, we got our own TV show happening now. But we are just dedicated on bringing some topics to you guys this year. We really am just wanting to push us in the right direction when it comes down to what we do, and that is America's Big Sister educating and empowering all across the world, right? And we're changing the world of a girl. And yes, some of you are getting on. You guys have supported. You guys have helped. It is because of you all that we have even made it thus far. And so we're so grateful for our donors, grateful for our supporters. And so we want to make sure that we're continuing conversations. How many of you liked last week when we ended those first 2 weeks of human trafficking and we had such a great discussion around it? How many of you liked that last week? And so I truly believe this week is going to be just as amazing. I do want to make it a dialogue, so be sure to say some things in that column. Hey, mom say hello, beauty. Hello, auntie. She's like, good evening. Thank you guys for jumping on. If you can, please share this. I believe it's a great conversation. I believe it's a great topic. And for us as America's Big Sister Foundation, you know, we have definitely tapped into this space of mentoring. And so I can't wait to just talk to you guys at how it all comes together. And so I don't want to keep you long. I know you guys got to get back to your evening show. And so we're going to just start off and we're going to just introduce. How about we do that? We'll take this opportunity to introduce. We're going to have the ladies to come on, introduce themselves, and then we'll go into conversation. I think it's going to be amazing. So, hi, Latrice. Hello. Be sure to ask some of those questions inside of the chat. We're looking, we're listening, and we want to make it, like I said, a dialogue. And so we'll have our first guest up, and so we'll have her introduce herself, what she do. And so go ahead, Dara, it is on you.
Thank you. I first just want to say thank you for inviting me to your platform to just be a panelist. I think what you're doing is amazing, and I'm super excited to see where your organization goes. And so my name is Dara Michelle. I am the co-founder and executive director of Focus Fairies Mentoring. And Focus Fairies is a mentoring organization in Chicago. And what we really do is try to empower our girls, educate our girls, and really teach them about self-esteem, etiquette, financial literacy. And we do that through our virtual mentoring platforms. And also we try to host monthly educational empowerment sessions for our girls as well. And so we mentor girls ages 7 to 14. Right now we do our virtual mentoring twice a month for an hour and a half. And we also send them activity boxes just to ensure that they have everything that they need during the session. That way it's not putting a burden on the parents. And so when they come on, they're ready to rock and roll. So again, I thank you, and I'm just excited to see what the rest of the evening has to offer.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm excited too. Yes. And so what I do know is that I had her on because there is some partnerships stirring up, some conversations stirring up about us working together, right? You have girls that I think, well, I want to say, that kind of stops at 14, and I want to kind of take over the girls from that point. Yeah, so I have some interest in us just partnering and then just taking this, just taking them by the hand and continuing on their journey. Yes. All right. So let's go ahead and let's introduce our second guest. The reason why I wanted to bring my second guest on is America's Big Sister Foundation. Most of us, or I should say, most people people know us as hosting these one-off events. I want to say one of the best, most amazing all-teen girl conference in the world. And we have done this since 2017. And so what we did after 2017, 2018, the evolution of America's Big Sister began to grow and just take another turn. And so I believe that in God's order, we begin to say, okay, we're doing great things. Yes, we're meeting them, but how do we continue the relationships with them? And this is when we started this mentorship program. Oh man, Gold Girls is what we call them. Our goal girls are girls on another level. Yes, get it? GOAL, girls on another level. These girls are on another level, not only because we're declaring it, yes, not only because we are speaking into their lives, but we do believe that they're on another level because they're the ones that are missing some pieces when it comes to having the holistic support group. And so I want to, definitely shout out all the Gold Girls if they are listening. But they're the ones that is missing that rock, and that rock is their moms. And we wanted to come in as big sisters and just kind of fill in the gap, right? We're not ever going to be their moms. So we want to be that person to hold the hands of the guardians that's taking care, the schools that's taking care. We want to be a part of that village. How many of you know it still takes a village to raise a kid, right? It still takes a village to raise a child, right? It's just what it is. It did not stop back in the old days. It's still prevalent and needed today. And so I'm so excited. I'm really excited. So I do want to invite the next two guests. Here's what you have to know about the next two is one of them works so closely with our girls, and that's why I brought her on. And I can't wait to introduce her. We'll let her introduce herself. But I want to say this, the reason why, though, is that we have a group, we do group mentoring, right? There's levels to this mentoring. In our group mentoring, we have a one mentor that will host, or I should say, take care of a group of girls. Well, the new year came, we were about to re-register them all and give them their assignments and giving them individual mentors. And guess what? Those girls said, no way, we need her to stay as our mentor. And I want to introduce you guys to our ultimate 2020. We have brought her in, and she has been amazing in Kansas City. I want to bring in Ebony. So Ebony, how are you today? Good. If you can, do me a favor. We want to get you to introduce yourself. I need volume. We got it?
There we go.
There we go. If you can introduce yourself, who you are, and then when we get into conversation, we'll talk more about the things that you do in order to be what we call the ultimate Gold Girl.
Well, again, my name is Ebony Hogan from Kansas City, Missouri. First off, I just want to thank Tregill and America's Big Sisters for having me a part of the organization. Also, thank you for the honor of the Ultimate Gold Girls Mentor. That meant a lot to me. 36 years old. I have been married for 15 years. I am a mother of two, also a mother of an autistic son. I left corporate America about 3 years ago and started my own company, CoverGirl Tees, which is a Christian and custom apparel company. That's what I do full time. And my corporate America job, I do help them out every now and again. And then just being the mentor and ambassador for Kansas City, as well as organizing everything from my family and friends and everything. So I just like to thank you again so much for having me on.
Thank you. So we're going to get into some conversation, but I definitely want to make sure though that we bring in because it's four of us. We're gonna talk it out, right? Yes. So I really want us to get in on this conversation. One of the things I mentioned before was that we do have this space of our girls, and what we know about our girls that are motherless, that there is a space of grieving, right? Sometimes we find that in our mentoring space, we have to deal with certain conversations, and the conversation of grieving was one that I really wanted to tap in today. And I really feel that although this is a conversation that will be great for teens, but I feel because we are in the time that we are in, this COVID space, that we all need need to hear and grab some tools on this grieving space, which is why I asked for our next guest to come on. Please introduce yourself. Tell us about you. I know you're already amazing, but we want to get you to introduce yourself. And by the way, you look amazing.
Thank you. Good evening. I wanted to begin by saying thank you for the invitation to share on your platform. I believe the sooner we can normalize the conversations around grief, the sooner people can maximize their lives after grief. So that was first.
Yeah.
I am Tavetta Patterson. I am from Gary, Indiana. And around 1998, I returned to Indiana from college in Atlanta because I had a plan to leave, never to return, but I didn't have a plan for what each step would look like. And so when I returned in 1998, I began the process of establishing a nonprofit, Gary Life Education Initiative Incorporated. Over 20 years, we were able to provide educational outreach as well as mentoring services for a total of 21,000 children. In 2006, I began the work of establishing Abundant Light Publications, which is a first-class business consulting and publishing company. Through that company, I still get to mentor business leaders, creatives, and organizational leaders. I had this busy, beautiful life that came to a pause on August 5th, 2013 at 7 a.m. when I witnessed my mother take her last breath. And when she passed, from that time until now, I have been investing my time, one, to honor her legacy, and two, I decided to turn that pain point into a purpose point and help other people, because grief will try to break you and stop your life from moving forward. But I decided I would not allow grief to do that to me. And 2020 has been a year where a lot of young people have experienced multiple layers of grief, from the pandemic, from their schools closing, their communities and their families look different. And so I am very thankful for this opportunity to share some strategies that you can use to help teens deal with grief and discover that there is life after they have experienced grief.
That is so good. This is like really entering us into the conversation. So all four of us, we're here. There we all go. And I really am like, I do want you guys to ask some questions. I see a few people here that's already doing praying hands. They're like, amen, on what's being discussed already. So what I do know, and I think you kind of segued us in with the experience that you have with what you just discussed about it. Let us first talk about, can we talk about the COVID-19 space and what have we what we've seen in our youth in general when it comes to, you know, what effects is it having? And maybe we can kind of talk about that and then go into why this mentoring space is important.
Absolutely. So I've seen, of course, an increase of people dealing with grief because there have been so many deaths. I've always encouraged secure the children first, because they do not have the capacity that we may have to deal with so many changes at one time. I also say secure the children first, because sometimes you will, no, not sometimes, oftentimes you will need them at some point in your life. So you want to secure them. You want to give them strategies. You want them to know there's a team of people who's immediately involved in their life to support them and help them move forward through COVID-19. And so it has really maximized the need for mentors. It has maximized the need for support services. It has maximized the needs for stability, because a lot of children were already dealing with a lot of trauma and instability. So I thank God for mentors and anyone who wants to be a part of the support team of a child.
Yeah, I love it. And so I think when you say these strategies, let's start with me saying secure the children first. we have that saying, secure the bag, right? So when you say secure the children, that's the first thing I thought about. Let's put their mask on first. That's what we learn on the plane. Let's put their mask on, and let's get them go, let them get settled, and then we go from there, right? And so, or it's actually the opposite. But in this form, we're finding that depression is happening. They're heightening with these young people. They're dealing with anxiety now because they're in some of these homes. Some of the homes that we're in, and I would say as a child, the deficit for me, well, I should say what I'll be struggling with right now was school was always my secure place. School was always where I would go to in order to feel, just kind of secure for that moment, and just knowing this is a place of progression. So I would always feel at least successful after I left that day. So now not having that security aspect, I didn't deal with abuse at my home, but I know some of our young people are dealing with abuse even. And so we're missing the opportunity to give them that breather, that time away, because we're not in the schools as much as we used to be. And now we have a lot of parents, let's talk about them, that is there. A lot of their time is spent. A lot of their time is spent. A lot of their stress levels are high because they can't financially take care of the kid. I mean, we can go on and on, right, about how this COVID-19 has shifted our households. But how important this mentoring space is right now is just crazy. So, Dara, I want to get you in. Have you been talking to any of your young people, and what have you found has been, some of the things and struggles they've had?
So we actually, when we started transitioning into the virtual space to do mentorship, we asked our girls, and we just asked them, like, do they even understand what's going on with COVID, and what are the impacts that they're dealing with? And a lot of them said is the isolation. A lot of them feel like they are muted, like their voices are not being heard. A lot of them have separation anxiety because, like you said, they used to having school or coming to the community centers or going to the park district as their way to escape whatever was going on in the homes. And so a lot of the girls are like just really trying to figure, like, we should helping them deal with those different levels of anxiety, as you mentioned, depression, and even with just being still to deal with them, to really identify like what it is that they want to do now, because we in COVID and we don't have as much flexibility to go to this house or that friend house. It's like, you got to deal with you. And so, now it's bringing up a lot of insecurities within themselves, and they looking at themselves differently. And now they questioning this and questioning that. So it's really, to me, I think it's also a gift because it's teaching them things about themselves that if they hadn't, been able to just been still for a little bit, they probably would have never really took the time to kind of dig deeper into it. So again, I know like that's why mentorship is so important. If you want to call a mentor, call it a sister friend, big girl, big whatever, it's so important so they can feel that they're not alone, or they can feel like, okay, I have somebody that's going to walk with me through the thick and thin, through the ups and downs and so forth. So it's been very beneficial because they just been helping us help them.
That's good. Yeah. So we know in this mentoring space right now, there's these different ways of mentoring. America's Big Sister, we tried different mentor models, right? And so we tried the peer-to-peer model this year, right? Because COVID came and we're like, oh God, like maybe we can get them to talk to each other because they may be able to discuss this some of their concerns might be the same, and they can probably help each other out. What we found out though is our teen girls, they don't talk as much, right? And if they don't know you, they're not going to say much to you. And so we switched then to our group mentoring. That's when just a single mentor is matched, with a group of mentees. And so we did that, and we it's been working. But we're ready. We're ready to tap into that traditional one-on-one mentoring. So if any of you guys are listening, you guys have to know there's levels to this mentoring space, and you can get involved. I want you to know that you can get involved. Another form of mentoring is your distant mentoring, which is one of the things you mentioned. Zoom, by way of Zoom, is creating kind of a mentoring space, right? here's another topic to discuss for everyone. And I find that a lot of people are saying, man, what you guys are saying is so good. I want to get involved. I really, really want to be of assistance to these young people. I really, really want to, help out. Anyway, at this point, we can talk about some of the do's and don'ts. And so, Ebony, I'm going to bring you in right now to just talk about some of the things. What have been some of the do's that you've been doing that's been helping these young girls? Because I think you're assigned to 3 particular ones that is in Kansas City that you have mentored to and have been able to do. So tell us some of the things you have found that has worked.
Well, I look at it as, it's funny that you asked me to be a big sister to these girls because I've always been the little sister. I'm the little sister. So I didn't know how to be a big sister. And so the way I approach it is what I felt like I missed out on by not having a sister, the things I wanted to talk to my sister about, or the things I wanted to share with her. And so I just try to get on the same level with the girls. I only let about 5 or 6 days go by without texting them or, hey, how's it going? How's school going? Just to let them know that somebody is thinking about them. That's one of the things about COVID is you're kind of disconnected. And so you feel like you're alone or nobody's checking in on me. Nobody cares about how I'm doing. And so that's been one of my go-tos is just, how's it going? What have you been up to? What's new in your life? And I've gotten pictures like I done dyed my hair red, and I'm like, oh Lord, let me see what you done. So one girl, she's 8, she's almost out of the program, but she went and got a tattoo, and it started off with Miss Ebony. I got a tattoo. I'm like, okay, great, let's see. And another thing is not trying to be a mom. I don't want to get on them about no, you shouldn't be doing that, but just talking to them like, well, what made you want to do it? Or what are your thoughts? Have you thought long term about this? So just being that friend that's, a little older that can still give you some advice, but not be too stern on you. So that's what has worked for me.
I promise that was one of the things they said. They said, Miss Ebony, it's like talking to like my friend, like I can talk to her, right? And I was like, okay, I love the fact that you take that approach, right? And so you do this thing. It's a thing where we have to listen, right? So anybody that's taking notes and they're saying to themselves, what makes a great mentor? Number one, is listen to them, right?
Yep.
Come on, let's throw out some more things you could do to what makes a great mentor for those that are interested in doing it, right? Come on, I guess
judgment-free zone.
A judgment-free commitment. Oh, wait a minute, you say this commitment space. Here's what I found out, that it actually will hurt the child if you're not committed to them and you leave out of their life. I always say now when I talk to people that say, I want to get involved, you got to be in for the long haul.
Yes.
Find that you actually hurt you, that it hurt more that you came in and left out their lives than it was for you to be there for that minute, right? Yes. You've done more damage almost than good because you did not sit still in their life and become what they need. And so I always try to even make sure that I measure what they are looking for, right? Whenever we're talking, I want them to know how long this will be, or what we're doing together, how we're going to set goals together. But yeah, I love that you said commitment. That is huge. And so so we talked about that. What else we said? We said commitment. What else we talked about? Defining, defining some strategies. I wanted to mention that, like, here's how we'll work. I like to talk to them and make sure they know what it is that we're doing. This is how we're going to work. I want to talk to you once a week, at least. I want us to check in with each other at least once a week. We establish some of those goals, and then be able to say what I'm here for. I'm really here to help you push your goals. I'm really here to help you establish a goal. Let's work on a 6-month goal. Let's work on a 1-year goal. Let us get the small goals out. Let us get the first report card done and get your A. And so I do believe in that space, like really setting some goals. And so, who? Any other things you want to add? I do see some people say talking on the side. I see you guys. I see you guys.
I believe it's important to listen to understand and to listen with compassion. Like with the compassion that they have survived everything that they survived in 2020 alone.
Yes, yes, that's so good. When you look at the, have you ever heard? You guys heard the acronym SMART? That was a theory that I kind of used or adopted. When we talk about that space, it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and there's a time here that goes with it, right? I use this acronym for SMART when I get into the conversation, when I first introduce myself and I say, hey, I am interested in being your mentee. Here's what you have to know. I want you to be, what I'm saying? We got to be specific in how we do this. And I just wanted to just piggyback because I really forgot to talk about that SMART space. I make it measurable, attainable, relevant, and I make sure that time period wise and understand. I go in it knowing that at the end of the day, if I commit 6 months is minimum to the year, and I always tell my girls with my program is yearly, so they'll hear at the year they can re-sign, they can sign back up if they want to, but we do it yearly for our Go Girls, right? So we did talk about some of the amazing views. What are some of the don'ts? Do y'all want to talk about some of those don'ts? Like, what are some things we don't want, to do as mentees, if as mentors, if we are, if some of the people or listeners trying to find out, like, what are some of the bad things?
I think Ebony touched on a good one. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I said inconsistency.
Oh,
yes, that's it. What else? What was your thoughts?
So I think Ebony touched on about how we just don't come off as their parent or their guardian, but really like the sister friend, so they not guarded. So they feel like, oh my gosh, she act like my mama. I don't want, really have that space where it's like, we are the mentors, but still have that, like you said, compassion to be able to speak with them and interact with them in a sister kind of atmosphere. So I think that was good. I thought that was good.
Yeah. Here is the thought too. We've discussed how beneficial it would be to a young person. Let's talk about just a minute at how beneficial it is to us, as mentors. What are some of those benefits? Go ahead. I was going to say I'll start, but go ahead.
So I think for me, because I also create our curriculum and our programming. And so as I'm thinking about like different programs, like we have a session tonight and we're talking about dealing with bullies. As I think about like just creating different activity and different curriculum, it just, again, puts me back into a space to show my growth, to show like how much I have overcame, how much I've grown in areas that still, maybe a trigger for me. And so even though I'm creating a curriculum for them, it's also for me as well. And so when I do the sessions, or I think about like, what I want our girls to talk about, to me, it's benefiting all of us. And when we talk about relatable topics that, the girls can really dig and dive deep into, then I feel it's like, okay, now we're really creating community. They don't feel like they in school, feel like they could just have a conversation. And so it's kind of, like I said, it's a plus for me and my mentors, and also for our girls.
Right. So kind of what they'll say, like your leadership skills, right?
Yeah.
It polishes up your skills. It allows you now the opportunity to grow even in your conversation. For some of us that do our testimonies to our young people, I even find that as a healing space for me. The more I talk about it, the more it creates freedom for me. And so I do love that I have, that time with our young people to talk about it. What are some of the other things that you guys can think of that benefits the adult? Someone say it helps accountability. I want to say that it definitely gives you accountability. So right when you want to, go off, like, you gotta stay. Like, listen, somebody's watching me, right? I gotta be careful. So I love Zone. Yeah, thank you, Jacqueline, for that. Tell me what other thoughts you have.
I would say it is definitely taking me out of my shell. Like this, I've never been a public speaker at all. This is not something that I've done. And working with America's Big Sister, this is the second time she has placed me on the spot to talk. So, um, but it's also given me three more friendships. Unfortunately, I lost my grandmother last week unexpectedly, and I want to say it was Saturday night at about 11 o'clock. One of my girls texted me like, "Hey, I heard what happened. I'm just thinking about you." And I'm like, wow, it's 11 o'clock. You should be in the bed, but you up thinking about me. And so
Yeah.
it just allows more friendship, and it also gives me some insights on what the teens are doing and talking about, because I have a 15-year-old. And so I can be like, oh, you know what? I already know about that. I already heard about that when my daughter come to me with something. So um, it's helped in my personal life for sure. And like you said, that accountability, because if I'm not on it, they definitely gonna call. My girls will call you out without a problem at all. And so they keep you, they hold you to your word. Miss Ebony, you said you was gonna do that. You said you was taking us to lunch. What time you coming? So that
Yeah.
accountability for sure, for sure.
So you say it keeps you current. That was what I
Yes,
so it keeps
yes,
you current. It becomes a thing where they teach you some things,
yes.
right? And so we now find ourselves where we're mentoring one another in certain areas. So you'll find that you got the cool words, the cool things happening technology wise. You like,
Oh,
oh,
the TikTok's crazy. That's always
Yes.
like, I'm always telling the girls when I see them, come on, girls, let's do a dance. And they be always shaking their head like, stop, like, stop, you can't. So we got, I would say we'll add another one. It's a community-wide impact, right? And if we take a moment to think about changing that one girl's life, will now more than likely change the trajectory of her entire family. It may even place her on that road to she'll be the first to graduate from high school. She'll be the first to do this, and we miss we kind of look at it as we done, oh, we just helped one girl, but you have to know the why, the impact you're going to have on their family, on their community, right? We saw the video prior, and it said most people that get this mentorship more than likely go back and mentor themselves. Like 80% of them will say, you know what, if I did not have Miss Ebony, I know I wasn't where I'm at. So how can I be Miss Ebony to somebody? How can I now be that person to somebody? So I think it does that. So we talked about, it improved listening skills. It changes your life, right? And so someone just said they're never too old to learn.
Yes.
So yes, yes, yes. I do want to make sure, because someone is here that's on the line that has dealt with grief, and so I know, right when we talked about how awesome the benefit will be for us. We've talked about awesome benefits in this mentor space for the young people. I do want to just kind of, if we can, kind of talk some more about this space of grief if we missed anything, only because one of the girls told me the other day, Miss Wade, I really wish we could talk a little bit more about that grief space, right? How, some tools about like what could we do? So I know I went in and we talked about those things, but I do want to bring it back to the grief space before we, start winding down. Could you give us some tools in the space that we find ourselves in right now? If you've done it already, and if we've said it all, that's fine. But just want to make sure I don't miss that, because I see someone on here that I know would be beneficial for.
So, in terms of the mentoring relationship, one thing that mentors can help teens do is develop a legacy living mindset, meaning helping them to really look at the life of, if it is the mother who has passed or whomever the loved one is, helping the child evaluate, well, what legacy did they leave? What lessons did they teach you? And how can you now embody that legacy and perhaps build your future based on that legacy? So helping them to see that, yes, grief can be painful, but the life of their loved one is also purposeful. And so what's the purpose after the pain? Mentors are in a position of power to help young people see that. Another thing, you asked about what is it that the mentor gains from the mentoring relationship, it's an opportunity for you to speak in your strength and to share your truths. And so being mentors, hindsight becomes the mentee's foresight. So the lessons you went through, they get to get the lesson and not have to necessarily make the same mistakes that we made, if that makes sense. For young people who are dealing with grief right now, I would say really look at the life that your loved one lived, no matter if it was a short amount of time that you got to live with your loved one. Look at the life that they lived and ask yourself, would they want you to stop and just stay in the grief? Or would they want you to take those lessons and do all that you can to live your best life? I would encourage the mentors to understand that I have this acronym for a mentor.
Oh, wow.
I see you as a messenger. Example, a nearby truth teller of reality. Because a lot of our young people need someone who's right there where they are, be it virtually, if it's a virtual space, but you're a truth teller to help them get a good sense of the reality they're living in and where they're headed. Grief will try to rob you and make you think you're not headed anywhere. But if a mentor can come into the life of that child and say, maybe share your experience with grief and how you got through the grief, you can help move their life forward. I would also encourage the children to be open to considering that there are people in your life who love you so much that they are here to cheer for you, to support you, to be a safe space. I would encourage us all to encourage these children. Crying is not a form of weakness. If they're sad, let them cry it on out, because tears are an outlet. Let them get it out and be just that safe space for them. Another thing that I would encourage is looking for the spark. Like, what does that child talk about that makes their eyes sparkle or their face light up? And building the mentoring foundation on whatever that spark is. For me, it was writing. I started writing at 8 years old to process some of the grief that I was seeing, because I was raised in Gary when it was considered the murder capital of the world. So I was seeing it up close, 8, 9 years old. For some children, it may be art or music. So spark-based mentoring is finding the spark that makes the child come alive, building the mentoring partnership with that, and just being a safe space. Really, really listening to understand, listening with compassion, and being consistent, because consistency builds courage in children.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing it. Yeah, everybody's like, that's so good. I don't know if you guys start writing notes, right? And that's just me. I'm one of those note people. You mentioned the word spark, and I immediately thought of that new movie that's out that's called Soul, and it's more of a cartoon space with Soul. And watching it, one of the things that actually helped me a lot was when he mentioned we work so hard at trying to find our purpose, and we start living life thinking, oh my God, I don't have a purpose. I don't have a purpose. And so it summed up to basically say, you're living every day you wake up, you're living life on purpose. And that spark that you find is just cherry on top. And so
Good.
that spark is it. No, that is just cherry on top, that you found that writing space. And I absolutely, like, that is one of the things with the Goal Girls. We've been trying to, identify what their spark is. They don't know quite what it is, but we've really been trying to identify that with them and help them see it. So we have this photo shoot we're working on for February. We call it Photo Shoot February. And we're excited because we're going to be taking pictures with the girls in whatever attire that spark is, right? And so they said that spark for them was one of my girls want to be a nail tech. I'm going to get her nail tech's mop, and we're going to take a picture. We're going to get her to see that she can be, and we're going to do it. It's like a mental space. I always say we want to use the psychology that we do learn, that if we can see it, we can be it. And the more it's like an affirmation. The more I say I am a nail tech, I believe I'm a nail tech, that thing will become a part of your heart, and then you'll fight for it. A lot of us fail to fight for some of our dreams. We tend to get into these battles of life, and curveballs start coming our way, and we just put our hands up and be like, forget it. It's just too much. But no, I can battle. I can battle in my heart, I can battle in my mind that this is what it is that I am called to be. And so it's gonna be a really cool time. I think the last thing you mentioned that I wanted to tap on is partnership. It is absolutely necessary when we are talking to anyone that we want to mentor. So I see that we have not, kids may not be on. I have adults that you have to make sure that whoever you're trying to help, you have to make sure they understand it's a partnership. I say this a lot. I can't help nobody that don't want to help themselves. This is not 100% I'm giving and you're giving 0. This is a partnership. We both have to agree, right? If we're going to define that partnership, we have to agree that we're going to work together in order to accomplish the goal that we have here. And that is for us to win in life, right?
Right.
Win. Don't have me that. Hey, no. And so that's the end goal. What is the end goal? The end goal is to win, to do what we have, to do. That's the end goal. So I'm so excited about it. What we've just, been able to talk and dive into. How about it's already been 40 minutes of discussion, 43 to be exact. And so I do want to kind of start wrapping it up. For all those that have been commenting, I'm seeing that's awesome. I love that. I'm seeing some yes. Just so you guys can know, I'm seeing some of these great comments that people are saying. So I do want to wrap up, and I want you guys to think of kind of some last things you would like to say before we go. If there's anything that hasn't been said thus far, if you wanted to, here's my list. The last thing I'll say leaving, because how about some of our girls may be on and they don't have mentors? You may want to have a last word for them, or maybe some women there that you want to just encourage on today, or men. How about that? We didn't talk about the boy space, but we know that it is necessary. And girls is what our topic is and who we kind of go after. But this is overall conversation. This is what we need from our men as well. That's going to tap into our boys, because what I'm finding out is that we at these levels and these ages that we're in, we're still trying to find ourselves. And I'm saying, find yourself, please. Hurry on up, child, because these children need you, and my motherly voice, find yourself, because these babies need you. And I promise you, when we just, and I don't ask for perfect people. I always say that. I'm not saying be perfect. We need you to have a testimony and a story, but we're really wanting you to, kind of now start spending time and help, build the next, the future presidents and the future vice president. Come on, I got to give that shout out for Harris quick. Yes. Anything we want to go ahead? I'm going to open up for you guys.
So I just want to say, I can't. Is it Tawana? I don't want to mispronounce your name. Patterson. Yeah. Tavetta. So you had said
go with T.
So you had said something real powerful about when you experience grief, how you think about the legacy. And like that just did something to me. And I never even really realized to look at it like that when I'm mentoring my girls, because my best friend was murdered 2 years ago. And so my god baby is 6. And so when it first happened, she was in a space of being confused, not really understanding. But as she went through counseling and as, me and her began to talk, she always reflect on that legacy of her mom being this giving and caring person. She always talks about how she wants to go to Vegas because she remembered that's where her mommy went. And so when you said that, I'm like, oh my God, like as much as, the trauma that she could think about of being a 6-year-old without a mom, she always highlight the good. And I always talk about like the good moments and the moments that they share. And she was like, when I get older, I want to get this car like my mommy. So like when you said that, I was like, oh my God, that's a different way to approach it and to think about grief and trauma, especially dealing with our girls who experience it. So like I thanks for them gems, girl. That was good.
Like, yeah, you see, I was like, I'm writing them down. And so, and I don't want us to, even when we talk about grief, I think it's fair to say we grieve even in situations like we have grieving moments. And so we recognize it as a transition, but I believe that some of us even grieve with those that hasn't been transition. It's still a form of letting go. It's still a form of having to, say goodbye to something, situation, someone, somebody, and so of course we don't got, that'd be a whole nother segment to really break down that grieving space. But some of my girls, mom hasn't only transitioned, but some of their moms are on drugs, right? Some of their moms are incarcerated. Some of their moms deal with mental health. And so they have to almost grieve the idea of normalcy when they're with their mother, right? They have to grieve that space to say, okay, you know what? I have to accept that, I'm not going to get that from her. Okay. So I have to grieve that feeling.
Another place for a mentor to save the day yet again, because that mentor, while we have accepted that it will not be normal or what you thought, that mentor can then help the mentee discover a new normal.
Yeah.
Redefine a new normal, recreate a new normal, close the door on what they thought it would be, but open the door to what life can now be.
Yes. I love it. I love it. So yeah, I find that, when I even thought about that, if I take away the parents and the grieving of that, I had a dream of how my life should be. I had to grieve that for a minute, okay, it's not going to happen. And so I think we've all kind of found ourselves in these situations. And if we can tap into ourselves, we can remember who we were when we were their age, and we can remember some of the things we went through. I think that makes even more an amazing mentor, is to remember yourself. And so I think that's an ending discussion. Ebony, not sure if you want to add anything, but I'm telling you so far, if I don't know about any of you guys been on here, if y'all been writing notes. I see, Ebony, you did type something. Remember, God's promise is bigger than your problem. Hey, that's it, right? Do you want to expound on that for a second before we go?
I mean, being raised in the church, my Christian faith is very, that's actually what my shirt says. It says I'm a child of God. And I actually thought about that when you said, when you have to, give yourself affirmations and kind of tell yourself, I am this, I am that. That's actually what my shirt says. I am a child of God. So sometimes we may lose sight in our own flesh, but we always have to fall back on the promises that God made us. He said in his word that he would never leave us or forsake us. And so that's one of the things that I hold to. And, when talking to the girls, that's another chance to mentor to them, is that I know this time may seem rough. I know it seems like, that it's at the end. With Christmas just passing, I had one of the girls text me and say, I'm going through a hard time right now because my mom's not here. And I used to bake cookies with her on Christmas Eve. And I used to do this. And so, as talking about the whole grief and everything, finding a new normal. Okay, so what memories can you build now? What things can you do now to make sure that you don't stay in this stuck place for so long and continue to grow? Because if we stay in that stuck place, we will not be able to advance the way that God has called us to be.
Amen. Listen, because you just brought up the Lord, I gotta say, amen. One of the things we talked
about. It's in my DNA. I'm sorry.
That's so good. That somebody said, preach, EB. They renamed you on here. One of the things I do with the one of the things about mentoring, and we talked about like what's the difference between mentoring and coaching. One of the things, since you raised this discussion up, one of the things that really pushed me into doing this was the Book of Ruth. And anybody that knows, I kind of build this space like the Book of Ruth, and Ruth is our girls, and Naomi was her mentor, right? And Naomi was her coach. And so someone say, well, what's the difference in coaching and mentoring? I mean, coaching is to a very specific space, right? And I'm going to coach you through this specific in your life. And so mentoring is a holistic type of approach, right? I know that spiritually you may need to be picked up today. I know your soul still needs someone to lean on. I know, holistically is the approach of being, no, we're three-part being, and they need help in all areas, right? And so how can we make sure that we are also being a spiritual impact on them? So yes, that is absolutely, what, oh God, you said that's mine. Oh goodness, shit, like, that's my child. I love it. So here's an affirmation for anybody that is. And so, ladies, you can repeat after me. We'll end with an affirmation, since that is one of the things you brought up. It's a way to, we want our girls to remember this. We want all ladies and all people to do this affirmation. I love to do it. I look in the mirror. I'll have sticky notes all over the place before you know it. I promise you. If it's something and I need to get out of a situation, I am a sticky note queen. I swear. Here, I ain't gonna let y'all see my little sticky note area. But let's say I am strong. Repeat after me. I am strong. I am confident.
I am confident.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
I am abundant.
I am abundant.
I am brave.
I am brave.
I am grateful.
I am grateful.
I am enough.
I am enough.
Yes.
Yes, I am enough. I am enough. That one right there, we could. Yes. I ain't gonna preach. See that? We got us in this preacher. Right here. Now you got the pastor talking now. Hey, pastor. Hey, pastor. Wait, it's all good. Okay. And so we're excited about all the work that you ladies are doing. I definitely wanted to use my platform to position you, but let's tell them where to follow you guys at before we go, if they want to know more about what you do. I really think that this should open up some opportunities for people to really tap into for your services. Let them know where they can follow. We're gonna go with you first, Dara.
Okay, so on all social medias, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, you can find us at Focus Fairies Mentoring. And if you have any girls 7 to 14 who need mentoring, you can go to our website and complete an application. It's www.focusfairiesmentoring.com.
Awesome. And Tabata, what about you?
For all social media, I am at T Speaker Author. Our company phone is 219-730-7621. And my website, tavetta.web.com. If I can be of assistance, I am here. And may you make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Awesome. Come on, EB, what they can find Cover Girl at?
So on Facebook and Instagram, it is Covered Girl Tees with the S, because we are covered. Look, I'm gonna start preaching again, but we covered.
Come on.
So that's the name of the business, Covered Girl Tees. And then on Instagram, my personal page is just eHogan06. So yes, please like, share, and follow.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for being here. Yes, our hand claps to ourselves. That was a fast conversation, but it still was long. We still was here for 55 minutes. I'm sure we could have went on and on about ways that you guys can help. Of course, just want to again tell you guys you can follow America's Big Sister Foundation, which some of you guys are on already. And you guys I want y'all to like some of those photos and those pictures and all that good stuff we'd be posting. Let us know that you are following by liking. Definitely share the information. Somebody said, this is my first time getting on. I really, really love this information. Thank you. Thanks for getting on. This your first time also? Good. Thank you, Yvonne. Thanks for getting on. So we just want to just be that, bring you the information. Make sure that you guys are aware for all the mothers that are helping and you're at home with your child. And, I would even say, if you do not have a mentor, to work along someone, I mean, kudos to all the moms that feel like they are superwomen and you can do it. I believe you could do it, but to have someone that mentors, and it's okay to reach out and say, hey, could you mentor, my daughter for me? I know I'm doing my part, but I think she needs another voice. And I think that, and then you're pointing out that positive voice. I think that'll be a good spot for you. And yes, we have DM now. You can go in, you can ask questions, you can ask someone to even be a part of that mentoring space. I even had a young girl who asked me to be her mentor. She just went in my DMs one day and was like, hey, could you please be my mentor? I mean, listen, social media is doing the most. We can do so much more in this space of social media. I loved it. And listen, you let it work for you. I'm telling you, it will be beneficial, right? So good night, ladies. Good night, everybody. Thank you guys for getting on.
Yeah.
Bye. See you later.